Good afternoon, everybody. This is Rendezvous. I am Sad Snake, and with me is the inimitable Point-Virgule. Thank you, Sad. You're too kind. Yes, good evening, listeners. Welcome back to Rendezvous after a hiatus of a few years. It is good to be back. You might be wondering, if you're a long-term listener, if we're in the Philharmonie, if we're in Beauchamp Castle. In fact, we're a bit further afield, in the beautiful city of Athens, which is hosting Eurovisn't 14 after the stunning Yerma won last year in Miss Karlovia. Yes, and today we have the honor of interviewing someone who has made history in KLE, history in Luxembourg. She's the first ever person to win as a soloist twice, and she did so by winning the KLE All-Stars, no less. That's right, we're talking to the amazing Maëlle. So, Maëlle, how are you feeling? Oh, hi Point-Virgule, hi Sad Snake. It's an absolute honor to be talking to two legends from the very early days of Luxembourg in Eurovisn't. You know, I'm really honored. How am I feeling? I'm honestly feeling a wild combination of emotions at the minute because I never thought I would make it here to begin with when I took part in Eurovisn't 11, and now I'm back having won All Stars, and honestly, yeah, it's a bit overwhelming. Like, I feel a lot of excitement, pure honor in being chosen to fly the banner of Luxembourg once more and to be able to bring a song that is really dear to my heart. And I feel very nervous because, obviously, last time Abri challenged for the win came second, and having won All Stars, which led to a Eurovision winner for Luxembourg, there's a lot of expectation on my head. So yeah, the clock is ticking down, and it's ticking very loudly at the minute. But yeah, it's that combination of excitement, a bit of anxiety, and feeling honoured. So, you won KLE All-Stars 2. Can you tell us a little bit about the experience? Honestly, I wasn't sure if I was going to come back to KLE. And the reason is because I didn't know how I could follow up Abri. You know, it took a lot of convincing for me to take part in the first KLE in which I took part in. And basically, so many of my friends were like, you have to do it, come on, give it a try. And I was quite nervous, really, because this concept of sharing a song and having it evaluated in a field of songs. KLE 11, it was a real leap of faith. And I brought a song that was my most personal to that date. And I thought, yeah, this is what I want to be remembered for in the context of KLE. I didn't want to come back with a song that would be considered subpar. Anna was talking to me saying, are you going to come back for 14? Are you going to come back for All Stars? Because obviously that happens every 5 years in Luxembourg. It's something that is always on the table. And Anna and Poir, Flux in general, were so adamant that I should return. They thought that it would be a huge gap in the lineup if I didn't. And I was always saying, I'd love to return. I mean, KLE gave me a huge amount of confidence because I never truly reached the mainstream in Luxembourg. It was a situation where every time I was close to breaking out, something happened. And all of a sudden I have this audience of pretty much all the country watching me and experiencing my song and feeling what I'm talking about. And it was really emotional. So obviously, I was interested in returning in the abstract, and also the prospect of going to Eurovision again and being able to represent my country and represent my art on a global stage. I'd be lying if I said that that wasn't a huge temptation, but I had said to Anna that I would only return if I had a song that I felt would be a worthy successor to Abri. And luckily, they called me at the end of year 13 and they were like, do we put you on the shortlist? Do we not put you on the shortlist? And I said, I'm not sure. I'm working on something that might be it. And 3 days later, I got the phone call again, and it was Anna saying, listen, girl, I love you, but you got to tell me, are you in or are you out? And I said, okay, I'm a bit nervous about sharing this song, but I'm in. And that was all she wrote, really, right? Because you did amazingly in All Stars. You managed to completely decimate the semi-final you were in, and you got the most convincing margin of victory in this era. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that at all. I mean, when you go into All Stars, you're up against people who you've admired for sometimes almost all your life, you know? People like Linda Zagreb, like people like Maëlle, And then people who are newer to the scene but have made a huge impact, like Secular Confessions or Nehalenia. So when I went to All Stars, I wasn't thinking I'm going to win this. I was thinking, yeah, this song is really important to me. I need to get it out. It's almost like a physical urge, a necessity to express what I'm feeling in this song. But I didn't think I was going to win. I thought, honestly, that Maëlle would win. But yeah, in the end, it was me. I won. It's just an honor, like, to join the company of only two other women, and they're both close friends of mine and have been inspirations for literally all my life. It's getting emotional just thinking about it now. Now, Maëlle, there's quite an interesting distinction between the phases of your career, because before you came to KLE, pretty much all of your music was rather political, right? Yes, that's right. I mean, I started off with Les Insoumises, which was like a punk collective. We were mostly talking about inequality and things like that, and we were going around the country performing in fundraisers. For us, music was a political tool, really. We were singing because we wanted to change the world, and we thought it was one more tool in which to do that, because art can really empower people to make a change. It can inspire people to fight. Then, when I went to Wales, I created a band, the Stereoth, and that was very different in terms of the style, because we were making sort of Celtic music with a bit of a rock edge. But what was similar was we were tackling so many political issues in that band, and I never really wrote about things that I was feeling. Like, I would write things down in a notebook, but it was never songs that I would share with anybody except for a couple of people. In fact, part of the reason that you were suggested to come to KLE with a personal song was because you shared one with Anna and Poir, right? Yes, I mean, occasionally I would share songs with them because, literally we came up together on the scene. We've been friends for like a long time now, like a decade and a half. So obviously I could trust them. But I was always so reticent when it came to sharing personal songs, because first of all, I felt kind of guilty because I thought there's so much more important things in the world than one woman and how she's feeling, And if I have an audience, have an outlet, then I should use it for big things, is what my thinking was. And also, I kind of built up a sort of protective arm around me, in terms of people knew me, and I managed to get a decent amount of fame in Wales. And I was kind of well known, not very well known in Luxembourg, but people couldn't use... I had this feeling and this fear of things that I felt just opening up vulnerabilities in me that would be, used against me later. I lived with that paranoia and that sort of fear of, like, exposing yourself, sort of. So coming to KLE with such a personal song like Abri was a huge leap in the dark and leap of faith. And Abri was the inspiration, sort of, for Encore, right? Well, Encore, as the name suggests, is an encore. In many ways, I mean, there was various levels of thought when I crafted that title. One of them was that I wanted to render a little tribute to Augustine Soyer, who is such a legend, and I was absolutely honoured and gobsmacked, actually, when I got a message from her saying, Maëlle, do you want to work on a song together for All Stars? I was like, wow, I've been noticed by someone in the stratosphere, you know what I mean? Because here in Luxembourg, literally, every day you turn on the radio and there's songs by Augustine Soyer. Even though I won KLE, I think Augustine Soyer is more popular in Luxembourg than I am. So that was incredible. So in her song Tant et plus, it says, Je le sens dans mon corps, encore et encore et encore. And that was part of the inspiration for the title. The other inspiration was, I'm back on this stage, being the KLE stage. I didn't think it would be an encore on the Eurovisn't stage. Also, it was a return to the relationship, to some degree, that inspired Abri. In Abri, you talked about the aftermath of the relationship and how you were still an important person for your ex. Yes, that's right. In Abri, I was telling the story about using this metaphor of a house. You know, your home is somewhere where you feel safe. Your home is somewhere where you feel secure. It's your place, and you can always go there and feel, unjudged, comforted, or that's the way it should be. And I see a relationship as being like a home. In this case, I was no longer the home for my ex. I was just a shelter, like somewhere she'd go when it was stormy outside and there was nowhere else she could take comfort. You know, I was this emotional resource. And I wrote Abri with the intention of just closing the book and saying, listen, I have to be kinder to myself, and I have to not let myself be an emotional resource for somebody who can't be one for me. And I have to just let the fear of losing this person entirely from my life just slide. Encore is the book opening again and a new chapter being written. Sometimes you can't control that happening, you know. What exactly did happen to inspire Encore, if you can... Yeah, I guess I can. Basically, my ex and I never separated, really, in terms of friendship. And we were constantly meeting up and doing things together, and one night, you know, things got out of control, and things happened that hadn't happened since we were together, let's say. And Encore is like a reflection upon the feelings that I had about that happening, you know, because on the one hand, I was feeling just over the moon because no one had made me feel the way that my ex did, and I felt that no one ever would, in terms of physical intimacy. And us having that moment, that night of just pure reignition, it was a joy. It was something that I was yearning for, you know, that I was just longing for. And it happened, and I loved every minute. But then, at the same time, I had so much saudade and, you know, so much sadness, because I realized that it wasn't the same, because the ingredient that could never be reinserted was actual love. And one thing that was different was that my ex didn't really say anything. We were just spending this time together but couldn't say any words. And for me, it's something important, you know, to be affirmed in that way. And yeah, for her there was no romantic element to this reignition at all. For me, obviously, it stirred up these old feelings that hadn't even really subsided. And so Encore is like a reflection on my internal dilemma. You know, do you keep up with these re-encounters knowing that it's what your body wants? Or do you just say stop because your heart just can't take seeing the difference between then and now? Oh, it's a really heavy inspiration for the song. And we heard that you were actually having second thoughts about coming to Eurovisn't, right? Well, yes, I was. When you win KLE, you don't necessarily have to accept to go to Eurovisn't, because KLE is a festival in its own right. And I thought, you know, I was going there more than anything just to get this off my chest and express what I was feeling. I wasn't going with the express intention of winning KLE again without speaking about going to Eurovision again. And there's so much pressure about returning here. So, also, I just felt so like bare with this song. And I wasn't sure if I could promote it for months and months and be constantly thinking about everything that has happened, you know? So, when I received the trophies, I didn't have to confirm at that moment if I was going to Eurovision or not. And I really had to think about it. I had to think if I wanted to be so emotionally exposed in front of the world again, you know, because the last time was an amazing experience, but it's also something that is quite emotionally taxing. And in the end, I was like, yeah, I can't win an All-Stars KLE and not go to the contest. So I phoned Anna the next day and I said, yes, I will represent Luxembourg and it is my honour. What exactly are you hoping to get out of this second participation? honestly, I just hope that I can honor this country because, you know, it's done so well in Eurovisn't with a bunch of very... Since I'd say the thing that connects the songs that have represented Luxembourg is sincerity, you know, and I really hope that I can live up to not just my own previous participation, but the likes of Geld last year, and the likes of, obviously, Poir and Anna, and everybody who's represented the country, including both of you. It's a heavy responsibility, and really, the thing that I hope the most to do with this participation is to touch people, to get people to feel what I'm feeling, and to get people thinking, if they're in similar situations, whether it is the healthiest thing for them, because sometimes we really don't consider ourselves in major decisions in our life. Well, Maëlle, thank you so much for all the time that you've given to us today, and I guess you're going to rehearse now. Yes, that's right. I'm a sucker for rehearsing. Like, when we were doing the recording of the final version of Encore, I literally must have gone through a couple of hundred takes because I don't want anything to get in the way of this song and its message getting out. So I really hope that tonight it will. Well, Maëlle, we wish you all the best tonight. The entirety of Luxembourg will be behind you, of course, and we hope that many others will too. Good luck, bon chance. Diolch yn fawr. Thank you so much.